Hey toy fans, Scott Toy Guru Nightlick here, continuing my video insight into the toy industry. And first off, a huge thank you to all of you. Thank you so much for subscribing and helping this channel hit 1,000 subscribers. So we're an official channel, which is really cool. And I want to actually start off with a quick announcement while I have everyone's attention. As many of you know, I have a auction that I was doing for children affected by AIDS, some items that from my Mattel days, and well, let's just say I wouldn't say I'm the biggest idiot ever, but I didn't realize that that charity doesn't exist anymore. I picked it because it's Mattel's corporate charity, or at least it was. So, well, we're going to switch over to Make-A-Wish because that is a current charity and it's one Mattel also continues to currently support. So if you're interested in owning a piece of toy history and some rare items, head on over to the link in the description or check out this video on the little flag link above, and we can raise some cool funds for Make-A-Wish Foundation. I'm so sorry, I had no idea that the original charity I chose is defunct. I honestly chose them because they were Mattel's corporate charity, and the whole point was to give back to a charity that Mattel supported. But hey, Make-A-Wish is a great foundation, and they're around, and they'll continue to be around. So that's who we'll be supporting. Okay, with that, let's get to the video. So, as promised, when you guys helped support this channel to hit 1,000 subscribers, I promised to do a history video of MattyCollector.com. If there's anything I don't hit in this video, hey, leave it in the comments below, and we could always do a follow-up. I want to, I aim to please, and you guys kept your end of the bargain, and I will too. So let's talk Matty Collector and how it fits into the history of toys, the history of collecting, the history of the universe. Okay, maybe not the entire universe, but it was still a very important, awesome website. And it was a portal that allowed Mattel to deliver a ton of awesome collector product to, it was aimed at the adult collector. I think even you had to be 18 or over to order from it. But, the product was for everybody, for the most part. Most of the figures were age grade 4+, at least as far as standards. But I'm totally getting off on a tangent. The point is, it allowed us to experiment and do things that Mattel and the collector lines might not otherwise have been able to do. And that was mostly because we had a different distribution channel. Items that we might have had trouble getting to retail. It was basically a science experiment, for lack of a better term. It was a way that we could kind of get around the normal toy distribution and bring product to fans in a unique way that we could deliver wish lists, really. We could, deliver things that fans really wanted that for one reason or another might be difficult to get to market. And a quick little history lesson on Matty, as in Matty Collector. Who is Matty? Well, Matty continues to be Mattel's corporate, not corporate logo, but I guess one of their corporate characters, Matty Mattel. He was like a little boy with a crown that started off in the 1950s. He was in a lot of Mattel commercials, and he would say things like, you can tell it's Mattel because it's swell, things like that. And the idea was we were going to take this existing corporate character who actually had been done as dolls in the 50s as well. He and his sister. He had a sister character as well, Belle. So the idea was that Matty Mattel had grown up. That if he had been the little kid in the 1950s, that when Mattel's corporate spokes character, for lack of a better word, what would happen if he had grown up? And we actually combined him with Van Wilder, who is Ryan Reynolds, specifically from Van Wilder, because we wanted him to have kind of like that edgy, I guess, cockiness, and that's where the face comes from. No, it is definitely not my face. The face was based on Ryan Reynolds, of all things, specifically his role in Van Wilder. But eventually we kind of had to lose the character because, oddly, he became the target of a lot of fans and some of the things that we couldn't quite deliver on, and he kind of got blamed for them, I guess. So even though we all loved this character we designed, and we even built a life-size costume that we hired a very tall actor to wear at Comic-Con, things like the red screen of death and other things that just didn't go the way we wanted it to go kind of meant we had to sort of give the axe to good old grown-up Matty as a character. That's why you kind of stopped seeing him halfway through. But we were really proud of this whole concept, and we thought it was really funny that, Matty Mattel grew up. And, he was not like the arch overlord of Matty Collector the way I think some people thought. He was really just meant to be a fun, whimsical reminder of, the good old days in the 50s when toys were truly toys. He was not like this giant corporate evil overlord that was just out there to get money. He was supposed to be this guy who was into toys and just had a lifelong love for toys. And that sort of also, brings back the whole, the money thing. I think a lot of people, were thinking that, Matty Collector was like, here to like get everyone's money and try to make himself rich. Factually, if you look at it, Hot Wheels generated, $925 million in sales last year. Matty wasn't quite that. It was not about driving, the bottom line. It was a very, 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 very small line. But what it did do is it created a funnel, a system to create toys that otherwise didn't fit within sort of the Mattel retail distribution model, like Masters of the Universe, which couldn't find a home at retail at the time. I know it's coming back to retail now, fast forward, but when Matty Collector started, there wasn't as much interest because there was no content. There was no new, current cartoon. So it allowed us to do things like, Batman masks and Masters of the Universe and Watchmen figures, all these things that we couldn't quite get to retail. It really became a solution, is what it was, to appeasing the fans and finding ways to get product to them. As opposed to any of the the fan conspiracies out there. It was also a way to deliver licensor requests. So, for example, this Cars item was something that John Lasseter specifically wanted. He wanted this exact toy. And in order to do this exact toy that he wanted, we were able to offer it on Matty Collector. And that was what was really cool. It became this tool for Mattel to deliver things that fans wanted, like these Ghostbuster prop replicas that were amazing, things that couldn't fit at retail for one reason or another. And it actually even helped us get the Ghostbusters line. Sony was really impressed with what we were doing on Matty Collector, and that was a huge reason we even got the Ghostbuster license in the first place, because they saw what we were doing, and they said, oh, this is a great avenue to get out adult collector product. I think everyone kind of knew Louis Tully with Pizza Slice and, Stone Gargoyle head, or puppet on his head, was not a toy that was going to go right to retail at that time. Same with like a giant classic Voltron without a new animated series. At the time when we did this, I know there was actually one on the horizon, so maybe this isn't the best example. But the point is, we could do things that were awesome and out of the box, and we could correct scales. This was another advantage. We could do figures that were more for the adult collector. The Doomsday on the right there was when we did it retail. And this new Doomsday in this awesome deluxe packaging with Superman's ripped cape was meant for the adult collector. The one on the right was meant for kids. So it really allowed us to focus on the adult collector and deliver products that were designed for them with their needs in mind, and do things that were just, out of the box, no pun intended. This giant Legion pack, we were never going to be able to get this to retail. This was not a retail design product, and it was too big for Comic-Con. It was huge, but Matty Collector allowed us to do it. And speaking of huge, same thing, Castle Grayskull, our first sort of fan, funded item, or the Hoverboard. These were huge items that took a lot of fan support to make happen. And it was because of the fan support that we did them. So that was really what Matty Collector's purpose was. It wasn't, a revenue driver. It was a let's, make awesome product for fans. We couldn't do Lobo at retail, but we could do him online on Matty Collector. which, again, Matty Collector was a solution. And everybody won. Mattel won, DC Comics won, but most of all, the fans won. Matty let us finish the Justice League line. We were able to get to every hero and even these last 3 villains because we had Matty Collector. Retail wasn't supporting the line way after the show went off the air, but Matty Collector could. So again, it was a solution to yet another issue. And then finally, Comic-Con. Matty Collector was a way we could get the Comic-Con items out to more people. Before Matty Collector, the only way to get a Comic-Con item was to go to the show. And then, I think I said finally, but I'm going to do another finally. We did some stands. We did some really cool accessories. We did flying stands and wall-mounted stands and, all sorts of accessories like that. Again, with the adult collector in mind. And I think that was really what Matty Collector was all about. And yes, despite what the Toys That Made Us documentary like to say, no, Mattel is the ones that made Masters of the Universe Classics, our kind of pinnacle line. And this was, the castles, the dragons, this was Mattel. And I was really proud to be a huge part of this and to help, have this line see reality. And honestly, I am thrilled beyond belief that after I left, Super 7 was able to continue it. They did a lot of great toys. They didn't do the whole line, like what the documentary said, but they did some really cool stuff. Okay, let's talk about what I think a lot of people want to hear about is what happened after MattyCollector.com. The proposed 2016 line, I guess you could say. What was in it? What were we going to do? Where were we going? And how we, I guess, didn't get there. So in order to address this, as background, it's probably important to, and I've mentioned this before, I was running this line more or less in my spare time from home. My main job at Mattel was running the DC Universe line, the Green Lantern theatrical line, and eventually Hot Wheels Star Wars. We did have designers and packaging teams that were working on Matty as well. I'm not saying it was me, like me. It was not all about me. But the time that I spent as a marketing director, it was more of a sort of extra kind of hobby, if you will, beyond my day job. And Mattel, as a company, is set up to basically do Barbie and Hot Wheels for the masses. And, we had some, like I said, we had great help from cross departments to make this happen. But you sort of need someone to be what I called an internal champion of the line. And it didn't need to be me. It just needed to be somebody. Somebody needed to be sort of pushing it and kind of making it part of their agenda. And I think when I left, there really wasn't that push from a specific individual. All right, so let's look at what we were going to get to. So for 2016, we did have a full year of Motu Classics planned out, and you can see here a lot of these figures did come. They kind of basically halved it, because I think 6 figures came out. So you can see the ones that got cut, Major Header, Skeletine, Raja, Lady Slither, and who else? I'm trying to. Desparo actually moved to the sub figure. Well, it became like a hodgepodge, I guess you could say, where they moved figures around. But again, we were trying to hit things like do the runners up from the fan created contest. Now that they'd been in the mini comic, we were trying to get to Lord Mask, Voltac, all these Lodar. Characters fans really wanted, and those did make it into the line. And Songster, he was going to be the subscription figure. So that was, what was going to be the full year. The add-on sub was going to be the Filmation series, what became, I think, Club Grayskull. And I think the one change was we had Cringer in there originally, and the subscription-only figure was going to be the Sorceress. But that got changed up a little bit by, after I left. And again, awesome. I mean, I'm just so glad that these got made. But this was meant to be a way to get the A-list characters out there again, now that we were so deep into classics. And then the Beasts, that was also going to be, 4 quarterly. We were going to do both of the horses, and then Tuscador and Hans Hammerholder were going to share that Ram Man body. Snake Mountain was in there. The Roton, Sagittar was going to be the holiday figure. We had a new Green Goddess 2.0 because there were some issues with the previous Green Goddess. And then that Comic-Con pack of Prince Keldor and Prince Randor was going to kind of round it out as far as the releases. But yeah, all of this, a lot of this you can see did happen. And you could sort of see the trickle-down effect. Another look at some of the, we were going to do the Chase figure of, Anti-Eternia He-Man. He did wind up getting released, which is awesome. The Thundercats figures, we were working on Thundercats for years, and it was so exciting that we finally got, we got to them, and I think actually Mattel's bringing them back, or Super 7 is at least, which is awesome. We were going to do the Terror Dogs was the original plan as a Ghostbusters Comic-Con item. And then the Attitubes, we were going to try to bring those back too, because Funko Pop was just huge, and we thought that would be cool. So, there were some items that, we had planned that did make it. This Barbie She-Ra, was on the that list there. This was something that we were planning on doing. Same with Snake Mountain. This was, essentially, you guys did get that 2016 line, I guess. I mean, there were some things that didn't make it. Songster was going to be the subscription-only figure for a full year of Motu Classics, and that, unfortunately, I think, for one reason or other, didn't happen. But, a lot of the stuff you got. Some of the stuff you didn't, and I know this was announced at Comic-Con, was the real Ghostbusters line. This was going to be a 3 3/4 line. I wish I could tell you why it didn't happen. I wasn't at Mattel when, I guess, it got canceled. I was there when it was getting designed, which is why it was announced. But, for one reason or another, it didn't happen. The reason it was 3 3/4 was it was going to also be a vehicle-based line, letting us do Ecto 1, Ecto 2, with the play sets, the whole 9 yards. That's why we were going to go with that scale. So that was going to be a 3 3/4 real Ghostbusters line. Other items that kind of sort of made it was some more of the some of these were shown at Comic-Con but never made it to market. But I think the factory that had these wound up producing them because the tool was done. It was kind of weird, but yeah, unfortunately never got made. The Proton Pack. That was also a big one that we really wanted to do, and a lot of work went into it. That was one of the original props that we got from Sony, was they actually brought us a actual screen-used Proton Pack. I think it was Vankman's. It was the one Bill Murray had, and we analyzed it, we photographed it, we measured it. We looked at all the ways to do it. It was basically going to be really, really expensive. But we did plan for it. The Proton wand, the Neutrino wand, it did have a jack at the end that was going to plug into it. But, unfortunately, this was, just one of those items that we never got to. And that was kind of an overview of MattyCollector.com. It was a joint effort. I mean, it could not have existed without the fans. It was the fans that supported it over the years, the fans that bought the product, that subscribed to the product. And it was made by people who love toys, from the Four Horsemen, who are like these amazing sculptors, to partners like Warner Brothers and Sony, who really got on board with what we were doing. It was an experiment. It was something that Mattel had never really done before, and it really was one of those things that was just kind of like the right place at the right time. And there were amazing packaging designers. There were amazing toy designers. Bill and Terry and Ruben and Frank Varela. Everybody who worked on this line was so amazing. It really was a group effort. It was so many people who loved toys. And, despite the threats from fans, we kept going, and we all loved what we were doing. It was an awesome, awesome time. If you like this video and you want to see more, if you have things I didn't cover, give it a thumbs up. Give it a subscribe, and let me know what else you want to hear about, because I did promise this video, and if I didn't get to all of the questions people wanted answered, let me know in the comments below. I try to respond to as many of them as I can. Sorry if I don't get to all of them. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you around the internet.